Saying goodbyes?
Saying hello.
You think your wife can hear you?
No.
Then why bother?
Maybe I'm wrong. You're going to die. Maybe not.
Yeah, we're thinking he's back. This week I'm talking about the movies Keanu Reeves returns as the Baba Yaga John Wick in John Wick Chapter 4. Welcome to another edition of Talking About the Movies, and today, of course, we're talking about the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is John Wick Chapter 4. Once again, before we get started with this, might as well give you my thoughts on the previous John Wick movies. I was one of those people that when the first movie came out, I really was not looking forward to it. I thought it was going to be kind of a generic action movie. I didn't really have a whole lot of expectations for it when it first came out, but kind of like with everybody else at the time, I was really surprised at how much I really enjoyed the first movie. I know it's very formulaic. It felt very much like kind of a Taken kind of thing, but they found new ways to actually make this very intriguing. And Keanu Reeves, man, I mean, he just has that charm in these action movies that just you get so invested in. I mean, that's something that goes all the way back to his days of doing movies like Point Break and Speed and the Matrix movies, and it just comes into effect here, and he just plays this character so well. And so the second movie comes out, and you kind of expect, again, kind of a lesser sequel, because these action sequels usually go bigger and bigger. That means the script is not going to be any good, or the action's not going to be that great sometimes, but they found a way to actually really outdo the first movie, and it was really one of the big surprises from that year, 2017. And I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed that film. And then, so now you get to John Wick Chapter 3, which comes out only 2 years after that. Once again, they go bigger and bigger, and once again, they really shatter a lot of my expectations for it. I mean, by the third film in a series like this, you kind of expect a little bit of a lull, but now these movies just keep getting better and better, and lo and behold, with Chapter 4, man, it just doesn't stop. It just gets better and better as it goes along. I really, really enjoyed this movie a whole lot, and it's surprising when you consider that this is the longest film in the series. It's almost 3 hours long, and yet I never got tired watching it. It's granted there are times when it pads itself out a little bit too long, but everything else about this movie, man, just works so well. Like, it just really, you can just tell by each film as they keep going that they know exactly what they want to do. They know how to make it go bigger and bigger, and they know what the audience wants to see. They know what they want to see. You see the production value getting bigger and bigger with each film. The action sequences are getting more bombastic and awesome, and the performances overall are just so much fun to watch. I mean, it's amazing what this series has been able to do, and this is the first time that they don't have Derek Kolstad, who was one of the original creators of the original series, but he's not involved in this. He's not writing this. Chad Stahelski, who has been with the series since the beginning, is still very much involved in here, and it's amazing that this film is the fourth film in an action series, and it just gets better and better and better as it goes along. And really, we have not seen this with an action film series. Yeah, the Mission Impossible movies got better and better, but only after the second movie was a huge misfire on so many levels. I mean, once Mission Impossible 3 started, each one of those movies got better and better and better. And like I said, we don't usually see this with an action series where each film gets bigger and gets more exciting. It gets more enjoyable with each film. Like, usually there's a lull, and so far there's not been a lull with the John Wick series whatsoever. Like, when you watch this movie, it really doesn't do anything unique story-wise. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing that we've seen in the other John Wick movies. It's Keanu Reeves playing this character, and he's going after everybody, taking revenge on the people that tried to kill him and left him for dead, and killed all these people that he knew, these animals that he knew and loved. It's just like, yeah, the story is not really all that clever. It's something we've seen done over and over again with every film in the series, but they just find these new ways to keep you so invested in what's going on. Like Chad Stahelski, this guy has been a stuntman his whole life. This guy has been a producer on several films, several good films like Birds of Prey. Like, he knows what he's doing. He knows that yeah, he could go all out action, but he knows that he can add another element to the story to keep you so invested in what's going on here, and it just works so well. He does a phenomenal job with these movies. I'd be curious to see what he would do with a movie outside of this series, and um, maybe that'll happen. So maybe that'll happen at some point. Somebody will give him a chance to do something much. They'll let him do something bigger is outside of the John Wick series, and maybe that'll happen at some point. Like what happened with David Leitch. Remember, David Leitch was the original co-director on the first John Wick, but he was uncredited. And look at how well he's transformed into an action director. He's made some really good action films since then. Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw was a really good movie. Bullet Train was a good movie too. Like we're seeing these two guys really showing the future of where these action films can really go. They can get more bombastic, but they can also be very entertaining at the same time as well. And it also helps that Keanu Reeves just fits this role so well as John Wick, or of course this movie calls him the Baba Yaga. Like he's just so good at this character, and he has that charisma, that magnetism, and he can both be very serious and be very funny in this type of a role. He plays this character so well, and he's got a great supporting cast behind him to really get the story afloat. With Donnie Yen is in this movie, Bill Skarsgård from the It films is in here. They bring back Lawrence Fishburne, Lance Reddick in one of his last film roles. Scott Adkins is in here. Ian McShane is back again, and they just add these new elements to it that just keep you invested in what's going on. And like I said, the action sequences overall are just so much fun to watch. Like you could definitely tell they took a lot of time with these action sequences, and you get so invested in what's going on that you're sucked in. Like there's not really a whole lot of flaws in this movie. There are notable ones, like I said before. Granted, I didn't really feel like with the runtime, I did not feel like that this was too long. I didn't feel like I was getting to the point where it's just like, okay, you can get on with it now. But I will say that there were definitely moments that could have been edited out. They could have tightened this up a little bit, but like I said, they do so much here that you get so invested in it that you kind of just let it slide for a little bit here. I think is that, and the story, once again, like I said, it's more the same of what we've seen in the previous films. If they keep this series going, I'd like to see them do something a little bit different, but again, with what they're doing here, they're working so well, I'm usually okay with it. So I was okay with what I saw here. I have very minor flaws with the film, other than the ones that I just mentioned, but other than that, though, man, I just had a great time watching this movie. One of the things that really struck me was not only was the final climactic battle sequence at the end so good, but the way the movie ends too. I feel like they could just end this series right if they could. They could end this series right now, and really, you really wouldn't need to do anything else with this series. I think you ended on a good enough note. It kind of reminded me somewhat of a little bit of the end of No Time to Die. Like you had the end of Daniel Craig's James Bond tenure, and the way they did it, it's so nicely done. It's done in a way where you look at it and you say, hey, if we stop the series here, I think we have a pretty good series of movies here, or we could just end it here and just do something else. I mean, you could still do stuff with Keanu Reeves. I think you could do, prequels. You could do stories that takes place outside the John Wick universe. I actually think with this spinoff they have coming up, Ballerina with Ana de Armas, I think that takes place before that's a prequel to the John Wick series. I could be wrong on that. Let me actually double check here. Okay, it does take place before the events of John Wick 3 and 4. So, yeah, I think they could still continue to do this series without doing another straight-up sequel. I think you can still tell a lot of stories in this universe. And, actually, I found it interesting that there is, like, they've been saying for the longest time that they're going to do a fifth movie. They're going to do a fifth movie. And then, just recently, Stahelski, the director, said that there are no plans for an immediate sequel, saying, Keanu and I are done for the moment. We're going to give John Wick a wet rest. I'm sure the studio has a plan. If everyone loves it and it goes kooky, then we'll take a quiet minute. And this was a quote that he said recently, only a couple weeks ago. And you know what? Like I said before, if they stop here at John Wick Chapter 4, I think you have a really solid series that it keeps getting better and better with each film. I think you're going to get to a point where if you try to do another movie after you kind of set it up as this is kind of the swan song for John Wick, I think you can honestly say with this series, you could stop there. You could say, here's a series that gets better and better with every film, and it's one of the best action. Right now, this is one of the best action film franchises we've ever seen. Like, I would put this up there with something like the Lethal Weapon movies, the Die Hard movies. You know, these movie series that just keep the early Terminator movies. Just these movies just keep getting better and better and better. And I think if you try to stretch it out a little bit too much, I think honestly you kind of overstay your welcome. I think you've done just enough here to make a really solid series. You're ending on a high note. Me personally, I would end the series right here, but I'm not the head of a major studio, and Lionsgate, Lionsgate will do this. The Hunger Games series ended on a good note, despite the fact that they kind of screwed it up with ending with the third film being cut into 2 movies. I think it was good. I think it's good that they were stopping there, and then they just announced that they're doing another series, which could be good. I mean, they got some good talent on board with it. A lot of the same people that made the original Hunger Games sequels, as great as they were, are involved with it. It could be good, but I'm going in there with some trepidations. But like I said, I would personally stop here, but I'm not the head of Lionsgate, and I'm pretty sure Lionsgate is going to do everything in their power to keep this series going, regardless of what somebody like me would think. But for right now, I'll say this: John Wick is the best action film franchise we've had right now. Like, this is a series that, like I said, keeps getting better and better with each film. The action is getting better and better. The production value is getting better and better. The entertainment value is getting better and better. There's not a whole lot of moments in here where I was bored by this particular film. Everything about it still works very well. You get invested by it. I come out of it going, that was a great movie, and I'm really glad that I got to see another great John Wick movie. Like I said, I would stop it here, but again, I'm not the head of a studio, so there's possibly going to be another John Wick coming after this. But for the moment, I'll say that, once again, this is a series that gets better and better with each film. They end this one on a really good note. I really enjoyed this movie a whole lot. Needless to say, I give this a big thumbs up. I really enjoyed this movie a whole lot. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far, and we've been getting some pretty good movies the last couple of weeks. So that's my thoughts on John Wick Chapter 4. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. And I know next week Dungeons & Dragons is coming out, but I'm going to be at the Steel City Con, so I will try to get that one at some point. And then after that, we got the Super Mario Brothers movie, but I'm going to be on vacation that week. I'm going to North Carolina. There's a chance I might see Super Mario Brothers there, but if I do that, I'll have a review for that on the channel. But more than likely, you're not going to see me doing another one of these until the middle of April as I try to catch up on those films. But again, we'll see what happens. Thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more reviews like this, please hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time for the next video. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you, and until then, take care.